Welcome to this very special edition of the KJ Masterclass Live, the show which ensures that you profit from your time spent here with experts, either through their industry insights, information, or simply learning from them. And today we have Paul Wilson. He is a hypnotherapist and mindset coach. He helps entrepreneurs achieve rock solid confidence, eliminates procrastination, overwhelm, and perfectionism. Welcome to the show, Paul.
Thank you, AJ. Looking forward to our conversation.
You are welcome. Welcome to the show. Welcome to India in this online form, Paul. And I'm sure not just in India, but a lot of people across the globe will benefit from what we are going to talk right now. We'll be talking about beating procrastination, overwhelm, and perfectionism. And before we talk about this, let's talk about bit about you, Paul, so that people know what your journey has been like, who they are listening to.
Wow, it depends how much time you've got. It's a very long story, AJ, but let's give you the highlights. I spent 25 years in the corporate world. I worked for a company called the Channel Tunnel, and back in the late 80s, they dug 3 tunnels under the English Channel between the UK and France, so that now rather than having to take the ferry or fly to Europe, you can actually drive your car through or go on the Eurostar to Paris, Brussels, those kind of places. I was there for 25 years. And then in 2017, in October, virtually, almost exactly to the day, I had an accident on my bicycle on the way to work. I got knocked off my bicycle and I broke both my arm, both above and below the elbow. And being right-handed, I couldn't use my arm. So I was signed off work for 6 weeks. I've been there 25 years. I'm thinking, is it a good time? Should I stay? Should I go? Should I stay? All that kind of nonsense. Anyway, I hadn't made the decision. I go back to work and I'm in my office, trying to sort out the emails, all the mail, that kind of thing after a long absence. And the head of HR walks past my office, a guy called Nick. He goes, "Hey, Paul, how's the arm?" And I don't know where this came from to this day. I went, "My arm's great, thanks, Nick, but have you got a minute?" He said, "Yeah, sure, no problem. Come to my office." So went around to his office, and then long story short, about 2 months later, on the exact date of my 25th anniversary, I was out taking a massive leap into the dark. And at the age of 57, that's a big, big leap. And I became a hypnotherapist and a coach because my journey has always kind of involved helping people, either kind of one-to-many or one-to-one. And now I kind of spend most of my time helping people on a one-to-one basis. I do some group coaching and some group sessions and masterclasses and stuff, but primarily I work one-to-one with 6 and 7 biggest business owners who kind of are getting in their own way, whether it's procrastination, perfectionism, overwhelm, just getting stuck in life. And that's me in a nutshell.
Right, that's you in a nutshell. And there is so much to learn from you, Paul. So you talked about businessmen who you help not to get in their own way, and at the same time you say that you hate the phrase self-sabotage. How is it that they are getting in their own way, and you also talk about self-sabotage? Help us understand the difference between these two, or they are the same thing.
Right. I hate the phrase self-sabotage because sabotage indicates a deliberate disruption. If you go back to various wars and, the resistance go and blow up bridges, they sabotage the progress of the enemy. Well, our minds don't sabotage us. Our minds have one primary function, and that's to keep us alive, to protect us as best it can so that we can procreate and, keep the species going. And the reason why people think we sabotage ourselves is that sometimes our unconscious mind stops us from doing certain things. And the reason why that happens is not to sabotage you, it's because something happened in the past. I mean, we think we're really sophisticated, we're really advanced, but we're not. We're very simple creatures. We still have this fight, flight, freeze, or fawn response to any kind of perceived threat. So you go into the office one day and the boss calls you into the office and she really hammers into you, shouting and screaming and calling you useless, and this report you did is a waste of time and you're a waste of space, blah, 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 blah. You've got 4 things you can do. You can stand and fight verbally. You can just run away. you can freeze like a rabbit in the headlights, or you can go, "Oh, I'm really sorry," and you can fawn. And so 10 years ahead of time, you want to go for a promotion or you want to go and do some public speaking, and your mind goes, "Oh, 10 years ago, we had that massive confrontation. That was really, really scary. And saber-toothed tiger attack. So we can't do that again." So it protects you, or it thinks it's protecting you by stopping you putting yourself forward, by standing up for yourself or whatever. In my case, it was public speaking. I had a horrendous event back in the early 2000s, and my brain stopped me from doing anything related to public speaking for a long, 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 long time until I fixed it. So our brains don't sabotage us, they're there to protect us. It just feels somewhat sometimes that we're being sabotaged, but it's not that at all. And what happens is you get stuck because we don't want to accept that the way to move forward is to fix the thing from the past first.
Right, right, Paul. So I want to understand this better. Getting in your own way, then forget the self sabotage part. Let's talk about the getting in their own way. What does it
Okay.
exactly mean? Can I say, listen, I met with an accident because I got in my own way? How does that sound? I want to understand it from a business person's perspective. How do they get in their own way?
Okay, let me give you an example. I had a client a few years back, and she had been a sales and marketing director for a fairly large company. She stopped work and went home to raise a family. And then, fast forward 10, 12 years, she wants to get back into business. And so she sets up a website. She didn't want to go back to work in the corporate world. She wants to work for herself. So she sets up a website and she gets everything ready. And then what happens is on the day of launch, she finds a reason not to launch because she thinks she's not ready. She thinks I'm not good enough. People are going to criticize me. My old boss is going to laugh at this new website. And this happened again and again and again and again, despite the fact that she had all the skills, all the knowledge, all the expertise. She couldn't push the go button on this new business because she was getting in her own way with all these false beliefs of not being good enough, of people going to judge her and criticize her, and so on and so forth. So she came to me, we did some work together, and she realized that this whole ball of rubbish was attached to something that happened quite a few years ago. So we dealt with that, and she launched her business and is now doing really, really well. So that's one example of how you can get in your own way.
Okay. And you talked about beliefs. What are these beliefs that hold you back? You talk about procrastination. Is it a belief? Overwhelm. Is it a belief? Perfectionism. Is it a belief? And then you
Oh,
also talk about bringing about you are a hypnotherapist. So is hypnotherapist therapy an answer, or is something else? Help us understand these things from a simple person's perspective. Who may not be able to afford your coaching, but certainly get help from this episode and your
okay.
tips.
So perfectionism, overwhelm, and procrastination, they can be beliefs, but generally it's the fact that how can I put this? We slow ourselves down with them. Okay. We have a big report to put in for Monday morning. And we know that if we take a couple of hours every day for a week, we can have this report ready. But Friday night, we can review it and give it to our boss Monday morning. But for some reason, we put it to one side, and I'll be fine. I only need a couple of hours. And so at 2 o'clock in the morning on a Sunday night, we're madly scrabbling to get this report done. And then we present the report late on Monday morning to our boss. It's not as good as it could have been. There's lots of mistakes, lots of errors, but we got it done. That's kind of procrastination. And one of the reasons we do that could be that we don't think we can make a good report for our boss. Maybe we don't think we have all the qualities necessary to make this work, to make a good report. Maybe we just don't think we think we're lazy. Maybe we think we're not good enough. Maybe we think, what, the boss isn't going to like it no matter what I do. And so we put it off and put it off and put it off until the very last second. Overwhelm is also, it's a kind of belief in that we just think about too much at the same time. I've got that report to do. I've got to pick up some shopping after for dinner tonight. I've got to fix the car. I've got to book the holiday. I've got to sort the insurance out. I've got that big meeting in 2 weeks' time. And we start overthinking all of these big things that are we think they're big things that are going to happen. And for some reason, we think we need to think about them all right now. And that's kind of the overwhelm. And we don't need to think about these things. But again, it's a way of blocking our own progress, blocking our own growth. And perfectionism, well, perfectionism is just procrastination spelt differently. If you think of perfectionism is you created a website and you're going to launch it, but you notice a typo, a spelling mistake. So you don't launch the website. Yeah.
Right.
You find another page and the picture, the photograph isn't quite rightly aligned. So you don't launch the website. And so you stop launching because you keep looking for these micro imperfections. I mean, most people are not even going to spot a typo. Most people won't consciously spot that this photograph isn't in alignment. But we stop, we don't publish the website because it's not perfect. And again, that can all come down to lots of different beliefs. I don't believe in myself. I don't have the self-confidence. People are going to judge me that I can't even do a simple website. Oh my God, I'm so hopeless. I'm so useless because the website's got a tiny little error. And so those are kind of the three big ones. And there's lots of stuff aligned with them, but it all comes from these self-beliefs that generally we're not good enough. We don't have the right level of knowledge. People are going to judge me. My hair's not right. I'm too old. I'm too young. I'm too fat. I'm too thin. I'm too tall. I'm too short. I'm too white. I'm too brown. My teeth are too white. My teeth are too brown. I wear glasses. I don't wear glasses. I've got a beard. I haven't got a beard. So we find all of these things that we think in our head make us not good enough. And of course, it's all rubbish.
Of course, it is all rubbish. So how do we make sure that this rubbish does not, control our mind, but our mind actually controls our mind, and that is what actually matters. Is hypnotherapy the answer, or we can rewire our brain, our mindset? How does it work? Again, from a simple person's perspective.
Hypnotherapy is brilliant. It really, really can help with a lot of things. It's not a miracle cure. Hypnotherapy can't cure cancer, can't regrow an arm if you've unfortunately lost your arm, but it's very, very good at helping us deal with what I call mental blockages, getting rid of unwanted mental baggage. Now, to do it yourself, there's a couple of ways. The first way, and anybody can do this, is to set aside some time, ideally about an hour every week, okay, where you're not going to be disturbed, where it's going to be nice and quiet. And then you sit down very quietly, you take a few deep breaths, and you ask yourself one question. And that question could be, what is stopping me from moving forward? What is stopping me from getting this report fixed? What is stopping me from asking that guy or girl out on a date? What is stopping me going that? Whatever the question is, the one question. And you sit there very quietly and you imagine you're standing at a station and the announcer says, stand back from the edge of the platform because the next train is not stopping. And you look to your right and this train comes by. You see the locomotive, you see the carriages going through the station really, 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 really fast. Now, we don't try and grab that train and step on it because it's going too fast. We know it's not going to stop. This is the same with thoughts. So when you're sitting there quietly and a thought comes in that you don't want, don't reach out and try and grab it. Just see it as one of those carriages in that through train. Just recognize, go, oh, okay, yeah, I know about that, and just let it float away. So the idea is just really quietly and ask ourselves this question: why can't I get this report finished? Or what's stopping me going for that promotion? Then just ask that question over and over and over again, really gently. We're not punishing ourselves. We're not being strict on ourselves, just being very, very gentle. Then just sit quietly and you will start to get an answer. And the more you do this, the faster the answer will come to you. That's the first way. The second way is, this is a really, really simple exercise. It's called bilateral stimulation. So normally we kind of only activating one side of our brain most of the time. Now, if you're anxious about something, if you're worried about something, you say, okay, I'm worried about this report I've got to have in by Monday morning. And on a scale of 0 to 10, 0 being it doesn't bother me, 10 being, oh my God, I want this, I just don't want to do it. You start just doing this with a ball, any kind of small ball, golf ball, tennis ball. And what happens is we're activating all of our both sides of our brain, both hemispheres. And just do this for a few seconds, and you'll find that while you're doing this, you can't think about the problem. You can try it now. If you've got a ball handy or something small, just try throwing this side to side. Yeah. And then after you do it for a few minutes, just stop. And that problem, just ask yourself, where is it on the scale again? Now, for most people, it would have started off as a 6, 7, 8, 9, or 10. But after you do that for a few minutes, it'll be down to a 0, a 1, 2, 3, or 4. And if it's still too high, just spend another couple of minutes doing this with the ball. And the third one you can do, and you can do this anywhere at any time, and nobody know that you're doing it, is just to focus on your breath. So if you're really worried about something, if you really feel, you know what, I just can't do this thing because people are going to judge me, just sit quietly for a few minutes and just breathe in, but count. So go, say the number 1 in your head, and you breathe out, say the number 2 in your head, 1, and do that. And basically this will calm things down. It's kind of like a meditation, but without the lotus position, all that kind of stuff, that the baggage that goes with it. So we just sit quietly and we count our breath in and out, and that will calm things down. And that will allow you to see things more clearly. And again, with the 3 of these exercises, each of these 3 exercises, the more you do them, the faster the results you will get.
Absolutely, absolutely. Now you work with a lot of entrepreneurs, Paul. So I want to understand what is it that they generally come to you for, and how do you help them?
Okay, there's a whole range of it's usually some form of anxiety. Um, in the last couple of years, one thing that's been really prominent is a lot of the people that I work with, they do business not on Facebook, not all that kind of stuff we hear about. Is they go to big meetings, there's seminars, conferences, and that kind of thing around the world, and they meet people, they meet and greet, and they talk business during these conferences. The problem is a lot of these conferences come with lots of free or very, very cheap alcohol. And so it's very, very
Right.
easy to overdo it and to embarrass yourself because they're just throwing this stuff around. A bit like if you go to a casino in Las Vegas, there's lots and lots of free drinks. And so they come to me because they want to be able to control their alcohol consumption. So rather than end up being asleep in the corner or slurring their words or just doing something really, really embarrassing, which means they're not going to get any business, they can just go and they can sit and drink a non-alcoholic beer or Coke and not feel embarrassed, not feel ashamed, but still have a really, really good time. And so I work with them using the conversational hypnosis process that I use to get them to see the difference and to control their ability to manage their alcohol consumption. A lot of
Wonderful.
another thing to do is again procrastination and overwhelm. Get people spending too much time trying to do everything at once rather than just focusing in on one thing, getting that done, and then moving on to the next thing. So those are the 2 main things that I help people with at the moment.
Wonderful, wonderful, Paul. I'm sure a lot of people would like to learn a lot about all these things from you, learn more about you, what you do, how you do, and also get your hypnotherapy and coaching. So, what is the best way for them to connect with you?
I'm all over social media, but the best way to get me is probably via my website. There's some free imposter syndrome and other bits and pieces there. ahappyhead.co.uk. So ahappyhead, that's all one word, .co.uk. And you can go there, you find out more about me, find out more about how I can help people. And there are lots of free resources that you can grab as well.
Wonderful. With this, it's a wrap on this very special edition of the KJ Masterclass Live. Thank you so much indeed for joining us.